Hello everyone, we are left with only 2 or 3 questions for law of motion, and let us begin with your question number 38. For this question number 38, we have a conveyor belt. Conveyor belt means it is a moving table. And what is the speed here? Speed is given as 2 meter per second, and this is moving with a speed equal to 2 meter per second, and we drop a box of mass m. As a result, this box will move with a speed equal to 2 meter per second because of the motion of the table. Okay, and what is the coefficient of the friction between the box and the table? It is given as 0.5, and we have to find out the distance that the box will move relative to the belt before coming to rest, taking g equal to 10 to power 10 meter per second square is. Here we have to understand the stopping distance concept. Due to the motion of this table, this object which is being dropped on the table will be moved by a distance, let us suppose it to be x, and after traveling a distance x, it will come to rest at this position, and we know that the speed when the body is at rest will be equal to 0. So initial speed is given as 2 meter per second, and what about the final speed? Final speed will be 0. And why do this object comes to rest when comes to rest? Because it is due to the retardation produced by the frictional force. If this surface is smooth, then this body of mass m will continue to move along with your table with a speed equal to 2 meter per second. But due to the presence of friction, this body will be constantly retarded means slowed down by this frictional force. Okay, and after traveling a distance equal to x, it will come to rest. So this distance x will be now considered as the stopping distance. And this same concept can be also be used in our bullet plus wall question. That is, if we consider the initial mass of the bullet to be m, and it was moving with a speed u, after penetrating or after covering a distance, after penetrating or after moving a distance x inside the wall, it comes to rest. So this x will be now considered as the stopping distance. And here let us take a to be the retardation produced due to the opposition produced by the wall. Okay, and here if we apply our common concept, that is b square equal to u square plus twice as, we just put the value here. What will be the final value? What will be the final speed? Final speed will be 0. Initial speed is given as u square minus, why do we take it as minus? Because the speed of this bullet is going to be reduced, or in another terminology we can say that it is retardation. So for retardation it will be minus twice a, and what is the distance that is to be moved before coming to rest? It is taken as x. So after simplification, x will be equal to u square divided by twice a. So we can apply this concept over here, and if we use this same concept over this question number 38, what will be the exact formula? The exact formula will be x is equal to u square divided by twice a, and this a is nothing but this is retardation, and this retardation will be given by the frictional force, and we do know that frictional force will be equal to mu mg. Okay, and we know that this retardation will be produced by frictional force, and we know that force is equal to mass into acceleration. In this case it will be retardation mu mg, and from here this get cancel out, and we will be having retardation a equal to mu g. We just put the value of retardation over here. It will be u square divided by twice mu g. This is the This is the extended formula for stopping distance if the surface is rough. And what is the stopping distance if the surface is smooth? This will be for smooth. Remember the basic difference here. Stopping distance for a smooth surface will be this much, and what about your rough surface? It will be like this. Anyway, let us put the value here. Initial speed is 2, so it will be 2 into 2 divided by 2 into what is the coefficient of friction? 0.5 into 10. So let us just cut it. It will be 2 divided by 5, and we will be having 0.4 meter. So the box will move a distance equal to 0.4 meter before coming to rest. This is the concept. Option number A will be our answer. Next, let us do question number 46. Okay, for this question number 46, we will be using the formula maximum length of the sand, that maximum length of sand on the table without sliding. That means here I will briefly explain the concept along with the formula. I will give you only the concept, and next and I will give you only the conclusion. Okay, here if we consider a table, a horizontal table, and some portion of the sand is hanging down this table like this. Okay, and we have to find out the maximum length of this hanging portion so that this chain doesn't fall down. We know that this surface is frictional surface. This horizontal surface must be frictional surface. If this is a smooth surface, then a small portion of the hanging, let us suppose this is only 5 centimeter or 10 centimeter, it will still bring down the whole chain to the ground. Okay, because it is smooth. But in case of our rough surface, some portion of the chain can be still hanging. Okay, can still hang, and some portion can be still on the table without sliding down. Okay, so this condition will be attained only when okay, I use the word only when, if the weight of this hanging portion, let us suppose the weight of this hanging portion, WT, weight of hanging portion, must be equal to the frictional force that is developed over this horizontal surface. This is the frictional force. Actually, this weight of this hanging portion will try to bring this whole chain down the table, but due to the presence of friction on this horizontal table, it will try to oppose the motion, and there will be a condition when the weight of this hanging portion comes out to be equal with the frictional force developed, then that condition will be known as the limiting condition. And we do know that limiting condition is the condition where the body is about to move. Okay, body is about to move. In our case, it will be about to slide down. Let us suppose this is 5 kg. Okay, hanging weight is of 5 kg mass. And what about this? This is 10 kg. This is 10 kg. Okay, if we put, or if we consider 5.2 kg of mass, hanging mass, then this 5.2 kg, the weight of this 5.2 kg will overcome the frictional force, and it will bring the whole chain down. Okay, so only 5 kg is the maximum. 5 kg mass will be the maximum mass of the chain that can be hang down, or that can be hung. Okay, that can be hung from this table without bringing down the whole chain to the ground. That is the concept. And let us read the question. A heavy uniform chain lies on a horizontal tabletop. If the coefficient of friction between the chain and the table is given as 0.25, then the maximum fraction of the length of the chain that can be hang over one edge of the table, that is, we have to find out the hanging length. If we consider the total length of the chain to be L, then let us suppose y portion is hanging. Okay, this y portion, let us take y be the maximum length of the chain that can be hang from this table. Okay, and what will be the remaining part will be L minus y. So basically we can say that the weight of this hanging y part will be equal to the frictional force developed over over L minus y. And this is the concept. Okay, and after calculation we get this formula. Y is equal to how much? Y is equal to the maximum hanging length will be equal to coefficient of friction into the length of the chain divided by 1 plus coefficient of the friction. It should be like this. And here you should read the question very carefully. Find out the maximum fraction. What do you mean by fraction? Means if we have this, if we consider a cake and this cake is being divided into 3 equal portions, this is first, second, this is third, and if we are going to consider the 2 slice or 2 piece, then we can write it as 2 by 3. Out of 3 fraction you will be getting 2. Just like that, what is the fraction of this hanging length with respect to the total length? So basically they are asking us to find out the value of y divided by L. So this will be now known as the fraction of the maximum fraction of the chain that can be hung over the length, that is y by L is to be calculated. And we know that y by L is equal to mu divided by 1 plus mu. And what will be the value here? Mu is given as 0.25 divided by 1 plus 0.25, and for converting in terms of percentage it must be multiplied with 100, and after simplification we will have 0.25 divided by 1.25 into this will be 100, and our answer will be 25 divided by 125 into 100. So 25 5s are 125, 5 20s are 100, so we will be having 20%. So 20% of the entire chain can be hung from the table, okay, without sliding down. So option number A will be our correct answer. This will be the last question for our law of motion, and we will begin with our new chapter, that is work, power and energy. Now let us continue with our work, power, energy. And we do know that in the last chapter we have seen that if a body of mass m is being acted upon by external force F, then this body will change its position, producing a displacement over here. And let us suppose this is the displacement produced to be S. Then we can say that some work will be done on this mass m. So work done will be defined as force into displacement. If the externally applied force produces some displacement, then we can say that work is done on the system, and mathematically it can be represented as force F dot displacement vector ds vector. Okay, and here it will be F ds cos of theta, and this is the formula. Okay, formula will be work done will be equal to F into force into displacement. Mathematically, in terms of our vector concept, force is a vector quantity, displacement is also a vector quantity. So combining these two vector quantity, we have to produce work done. Work done is a scalar quantity. It will have only the magnitude, and work done can be also be considered as energy also. Work can be done if there is energy. Without energy you cannot do work. So there will be this second topic, that is work energy theorem. Work will be possible only when energy is available, and if there is work done, then it will be converted into energy. That means work and energy can be interconvertible. That will be discussed in the second topic. For the time being, let us discuss work done will be equal to force into displacement. We have to take the dot product of the two vector, that is the force vector and the displacement vector. And for those of you who do not understand how to find out your dot product, I will just illustrate here. Let us take the simple example here. F vector is equal to 2 I cap plus 3 j cap. And what about the displacement? Let us take the displacement vector to be 5 I cap minus 2 j cap. And here for dot product, work done will be equal to how much? F dot ds vector. And for this dot product, you just have to multiply it, or you just have to find the product for only the similar I'll just illustrate here, only the similar I cap or j cap. That means our unit vector must be same. So this I cap must be multiplied with I cap and j cap must be multiplied with j cap. So the component along x must be multiplied with only the component on x-axis, and the component on y-axis must be multiplied with y only. That means this is the component of force vector on x-axis. I cap represent the component on x-axis and j cap represent the component on y-axis. So the component of our force on x-axis must be multiplied with the component of displacement on x-axis for displacement. And similarly we have to multiply the component of our force vector, our force, with the component of displacement vector on y-axis for the displacement. So we can simply put it as 2 into 5. And what about this sign? You should note that this 2 is plus, 5 is also plus. So the multiplication of two positive number will be positive, and for that of positive and negative it will produce negative. Here 3 plus 3 is being multiplied with minus 2. We will be having only 3 into 2. So our answer will be 10 minus 6, and it will be equal to 4 joule. Remember that work done will be measured in terms of joule. Okay, so this is very important. And here SI unit of work done or energy will be equal to joule. This is joule. And in CGS unit, this is also very important because this this will be used in your thermodynamics. Here in CGS unit, work done or energy will be calculated in terms of calorie, and you must know the conversion factor. Here you should know that 1 calorie is equal to 4.18 joule, or in short it will be 4.2 joule. Let us see some question based on this. Basic definition of work done, that is work done will be equal to the scalar product of force vector and displacement vector. Let us take up one or two questions. Here question number 3. Actually this type of question, this type of question will not be coming to your exam. This is not important, but this is essential for your understanding of work, power, energy or motion in 2 dimension, that is vector concept. Here for this question number 3, if a vector, let us suppose the given vector to be a vector equal to 2 I cap plus 3 j cap plus 8 k cap is perpendicular to the vector let us suppose this is b vector and this b vector is perpendicular to here. This is 4j cap minus 4I cap plus alpha k cap, and we have to find out the value of this alpha so that a vector is perpendicular to b vector. This is important. Okay, so basically in this chapter we have to understand what is dot product and what is your vector product. For dot product we will be having a dot b vector will be equal to a b cos of theta. Okay, and what about your cross product? Cross product will be a cross b, and this will be written as a b, this is sine of theta. Okay, it will be like this. And if if we apply the simple concept of parallel and perpendicular means what will be the angle here? Angle will be 90 degree. So if we put the value of cos theta to be 90, then what will be the value here? The value will be equal to 0. So we can say that if the dot product of two vectors a dot b comes out to be 0, then we can say that a vector is perpendicular to b vector. And if we put theta equal to 0, if the two vectors are parallel to one another, or if the vectors are acting along the same direction, theta will be equal to 0. And we do know that sine of theta is equal to how much? Sine 0 will be equal to 0. And what about sine of 180? Sine of 180 will be equal to 0. That means if the two vectors are parallel or anti-parallel, it doesn't matter, it will have 0 answer. Okay, so for parallel we have to check out whether the dot product, for perpendicular we have to check out whether the dot product of two vectors comes out to be 0, and for parallel we have to check out the cross product comes out to be 0 or not. But in this question number 3, it clearly mentions that these two vectors are perpendicular to one another. That means the dot product of, for this question number 3, dot product of a and a b will be equal to 0. This is the given condition. So our answer will start from here, and we do know that for the dot product we will be multiplying with the respective component. Respective component means I component with I component, j component with j component. And here for this a vector, it is 2I cap plus 3j cap plus 8k cap dot product. And here you should be very careful. Okay, they are trying to trick you by interchanging the terms. Okay, so our first term will be minus 4I cap plus 4j cap plus this will be alpha k cap. So in order to avoid, this must be equal to 0. In order to avoid our mistake in calculation, we just take the component in order. X component is written first over here and y component later on. So this I component will be multiplied with the I component of the another vector, that is this 2. Let me put like this, this 2 will be multiplied with minus 4. We will be having 2 into this will be minus 4. And what about the another will be plus 3 into this 3 is also positive. And what about the 4? This is also positive, 3 into 4. And what about the alpha and the 8k cap? This is also positive, so 8 alpha, this is equal to 0. So we take the multiplication like this, I cap, j cap, k cap. Okay, and we will be having this as minus 8 plus this is how much? This will be 12, and plus this will be 8 alpha equal to 0. And we will be having 4. Which one is greater, 8 or 12? 12 is greater, so we will be having plus 4 plus 8 alpha equal to 0. That means we will be having alpha equal to minus half. Minus half will be our answer. So our answer comes out to be option number B. This is the way to calculate. Okay, so without the concept of our dot product, in the last chapter, that is our projectile chapter and relative motion chapter, we have seen the basic concept of our vector addition, vector subtraction. But in this work power energy, we just find out how to find out our dot product and cross product. And let us do one more question, that is question number 6. How to find out the angle between two vector? We can find out with the help of two concepts, that is from our dot product we can also find out the value, and from our cross product also we can calculate the angle between the two vector. Anyway, let us do this easiest one. For this question number 6, we have two given vector. A vector is given as 3 I cap plus 4 j cap plus 5 k cap. And what about B vector? B vector, this is question number 6. B vector is given as 3 I cap plus 4 j cap minus 5 k cap. You may think that this is too easy, and why it is being covered in the revision chapter, because this is being repeatedly asked. You should not skip the vector topic, because every year, okay, they are asking more than 2 questions from this vector. In one year they will ask you to find out the dot product, and in another year they will ask you to find out the cross product. That is why it is very essential for you to understand the basic concept. And most of these dot product, cross product are not included in our are not included means are not done properly in our general syllabus, because most of the teacher will say that this is very easy, you can try yourself. So you will find, some of you will find it very difficult to find out dot product, cross product. Anyway, let us proceed it. Here, what is the formula for A dot B? A dot B is very simple. We have to find out A, B, this will be cos of theta. Here A is nothing but this is the magnitude of A vector. B is nothing but this is also the magnitude. And how will you find out the magnitude of A and B? From their rectangular components. Here, this I cap, j cap, k cap, that means if the vector is given in terms of I cap, j cap and k cap, we can say that it is in terms of rectangular component. And usually the magnitude of A is kept under this bar, and this can be also be denoted by simply A, and this will be equal to root over. Very simple. You have to just find out the square root sum of all the coefficient. What is the coefficient of I? For A it is 3, so it will be 3 square plus, and what is the coefficient of J? This is 4, so 4 square plus, and what is the coefficient of K? It will be 5 square. And after simplification we will be having, this is 9 plus 16 plus this is 25, and what will be our answer? Answer will be root over 50. Okay, so magnitude of A comes out to be 50, because this 9 plus 16 will produce 25, 25 plus 25 will be root over 50. Okay, and what about your B? For finding out the magnitude of B, we will proceed with the same concept, that is root over, it will be 3 square plus 4 square plus this will be minus 5 holding square, and its value will come out to be 50. And we do know that this negative sign will not differ any value, because the square of any negative number or any positive number comes out to be positive. And if we find out minus 3 holding square, it will be 9. What about 3 square? It will be also 9. That means it will be only in positive number, and its value will be come out to be equal. And once we get this, if we get this magnitude of A and B, Okay, if we get the magnitude of A and B, then we can also simply find out your cross product, dot product. A dot B will be equal to, very simple, this is 3 I cap plus 4 J cap plus 5 K cap, and we have to find out the dot product over here. Dot product will be 3 I cap plus 4 J cap minus this will be 5 K cap. Okay, and here this will be equal to I cap. I cap must be multiplied, so it will be 9. 3 will be multiplied with 3, 4 will be multiplied with 4, this will be 4. Okay, and this will be equal to how much? 4 into 4, it will be 16 minus, why do we take it as minus? Sorry, this is not required, because it is already okay. Anyway, I should not erase the dot product. A dot B vector. Anyway, let us continue our question. 3 I cap plus 4 J cap plus 5 K cap. This will not be required. 3 I cap plus 4 J cap plus 5 K cap, and what will be the component for B vector? It will be 3 I cap plus 4 J cap minus 5 K cap. And here, if we find out the value here, this will be 3 into 3 plus 9. This will be 4 into 4 into 4 minus this is 5 into 5, and our value comes out to be 0. That means if the dot product of two vectors come out to be equal to 0, and we can easily say that A B cos of theta will be equal to 0, and what will be the value? Theta will be equal to 90 degree. Very simple. Okay, that means we are not required to calculate our magnitude. Okay, sometimes if the angle is not 90 degree, it may be 45 degree, or it may be also 30 degree. In that case, you have to find out the magnitude of A and magnitude of B, and along with it you have to compare, you have to put the value over here. If you do not understand, I will just illustrate over here. We just find out the A dot B, and we just find out here the magnitude of A B. Let us suppose A dot B comes out to be equal to how much? Let us take like this. If the value of A dot B comes out to be 5, and A comes out to be 1, and B comes out to be and magnitude of B comes out to be 2.5. okay, 2.5, then how will you find out the angle here? Angle will be very easy. A dot B vector will be equal to AB. This will be cos of theta. You just put the value of A dot B. A dot B is 5, and what about your A? A will be 1, and what about B? B will be 2.5, and what about your cos? This will be cos of theta, and we will be having this is 5 divided by 2.5, and it will be cos of theta, and after simplification we will have 2. So our angle theta will be cos inverse 2. This will be our answer. This is the way to calculate. Okay, but in our question number 6, it is already 0. If we find out the dot product of these two vectors, it comes out to be 0. That means we can easily conclude that the two vectors are perpendicular to one another. Okay, so this is question number 3, and the question number 6 we have done some basic concept of our dot product. Okay, and now let us begin with our question number 7. This question number 7 is very important because this is based on your work energy theorem. And here, what is the statement of work energy theorem? It is very simple. If there is some external work done on the system, and if the external work done produces motion to the system, then the work done will be converted to kinetic energy. And if the work done doesn't produce any motion to the system, then it will be converted into potential energy. Very simple. Let us suppose if work is done on this system, okay, this is the system, and if the system comes out, or if the system is, if the system undergoes motion due to the external work done, then this work done will be converted into what type of energy? It will be converted into kinetic energy. And what will be the condition number 2? Condition number 2 is that if work is applied on the system, and if the system doesn't undergo motion, or it is still at rest, then the work done on the system will be converted into what type of energy? It will be converted into potential energy. And altogether this potential energy along with kinetic energy is known as mechanical energy. This is also very important. What do you mean by mechanical energy? Mechanical energy is nothing but it is the total energy or combination of potential energy and kinetic energy is known as your total energy. And we know that the energy that is produced due to the motion is known as kinetic energy, and energy due to its orientation or due to its configuration will be known as potential energy. Okay, so the statement for our work energy theorem is that the work done on the system will be equal to change in the kinetic energy, that is kinetic energy final minus kinetic energy initial. This is very important. Work done on the system or work done by the system will be equal to change in the kinetic energy. This is the formula for our work energy theorem. So energy work, if there is work there will be energy, if there is energy there will be work. That is the simple concept, but in our mathematical calculation we have to use this one. Work done on the system is converted to change in kinetic energy. That's all. And let us do your question number 7. Consider a drop of rainwater having the mass 1 gram falling from a height 1 kilometer. For this question number 7, what is the mass? Mass m will be equal to 1 gram. 1 gram can be taken as 10 to power minus 3 kg. Okay, and it is falling from a height equal to, ice is equal to 1 kilometer. 1 kilometer can be taken as 1000 meter. Okay, this is very important. It hit the ground with a speed, and what is the speed with which it will strike the ground? The final velocity will be 50 meter per second. And what about the initial velocity of the raindrop? It will be u equal to 0. That means initially the raindrop will be at rest in the sky, and once it starts falling down it will strike the ground with a speed equal to 50 meter per second. Okay, and we take the value of g to be 10 meter per second square. We have to calculate the work done by the gravitational force and the resistive force of air. That means here we have to find out two different work done, that is due to the gravitational force, and another will be due to the resistive nature of air. For number 1, what will be the total work done here? Total work done, let us put this is total work done is equal to change in kinetic energy. Kinetic energy final minus kinetic energy initial. Just one second. Here what will be the work done? Here work done will be of two different types. One will be due to gravitational work done, and you should remember this very important concept here. If this mass m is to be lifted to a height s up to here, then what will be the work done against the gravity? It will be work done will be equal to mgh. So any type of work done against the gravitational force will be known as mgh. Mgh will be the expression. And if we take the reverse condition, if this body of mass m is to be taken down from a height h to the ground, then what will be the work done? Work done will be same, mgh. Here we will be considering two different types of work done. First will be the work done due to gravity, and what will be the second type of energy, the second type of work done, the second type of work done will be work done to overcome the air resistance. And we know that air will produce some significant amount of resistance when we run very fast. Okay, we feel that we are being obstructed by air. That is nothing but it is the air resistance. Okay, so there will be two different type of work done due to gravity, that is mgh. And what will be the another type will be work done to overcome work done due to air resistance. Okay, and what about the final kinetic energy? Final kinetic energy will be half mv square minus, and what about the initial kinetic energy? It will be equal to 0. Very simple. Okay, let us first find out the gravitational work done. What will be the gravitational work done? Gravitational work done will be constant, that is we know that. Let us find out here. This is for your number 2. Okay, this is for your second. For the first part it will be like this. For the first part it will be potential energy, or this will be equal to gravitational work done. This will be equal to mgh, and we just put the value of here. What is the mass? Mass is given as 1 gram. It is 10 to the power minus 3 into g value should be taken as 10. Okay, 10 into what is the height? Height is equal to 1000 meter. That means this 1000 and 10 to the power 3 get cancelled out, so this 10. Okay, 10 joule will be the gravitational potential energy, or this is the work done produced by gravitational force. So we will be having our answer to be 10 joule. It should not be minus. Okay, it should be 10 joule. So we can eliminate our option number A, option number B, option number D. Why this is taken as negative? So we will be choosing our correct answer to be option number C. Without the calculation of the second part also, we can easily find out our correct option just by finding out our gravitational work done, or simply gravitational work done is also known as potential energy. Okay, so potential energy will have the expression mgh. Anyway, let us calculate for the second part. For the second part it will be, what is the value over here? What is the value of gravitational potential energy? It is find out as 10, and it should be minus. Why do we put this as minus? Because this will be the energy loss due to air friction, so we take it as work done to overcome air resistance, and this will be equal to half into what is the mass? What is the mass of the body? The mass of the body is 10 to the power minus 3 kg into what about velocity? This is 50 into this is 50. Okay, so it will be equal to 10, or you can just consider it as, after calculation our value will come out to be negative. Let us check it out. Okay, so work done, this will be here, and this is 50 get cancelled out, and what will be the answer here? Not 50, it will be 25. This will be 50 into 50. If this 50 is cut with 2, it will be 25. So 25 5s are how much? It will be 1250, and this will be 1.25. We get our answer to be 1.25, or simply it will be equal to 1.25. and work done will be equal to how much? Work done will be equal to, very simple, it will be 1.25 minus 10, and our answer comes out to be minus 8.75. so this option number 2 is also correct. Okay, option number 2 means we get the same negative answer. So this is the way to calculate. So So first of all, you just find out the work done by gravitational force, that is potential energy, mgs. That's very easy. Okay. Now let us do your question number 9. This is also based on your work energy theorem. So you just take a screenshot of this slide, and after that I will erase all this calculation. For this question number 9, a bullet of the mass 10 gram 10 gram lifts a rifle at initial. Let us suppose this is the gun. Okay, this is the gun, and this bullet lifts the, what is the mass? Mass will be equal to 10 gram. That means it will be 10 into 10 to the power minus 3 kg. And what about the speed? Initial speed u will be equal to 1000 meter per second. Mass of the bullet is given and initial velocity is also given. Strike the earth at a speed, strike the earth at the same level with a velocity equal to 500 meter per second. That means we have this wall over here. Let us suppose this is a wall, and it strike the wall with what velocity? With a final velocity equal to 500 meter per second. Let us read the second statement. Strike the earth at the same level with a velocity 500 meter per second. The work done in joule for overcoming the air resistance. This is also very easy. Here, what was the initial speed? In the initial speed of the bullet is given as 1000 meter per second, but due to the presence of air resistance, it's the speed of the bullet will be reduced to half means it will be 500. Out of this 1000, it is now reduced to 500 meter per second, and this reduction in the speed is caused due to air resistance. So we can easily apply our work energy theorem. Work done will be equal to change in kinetic energy final minus this will be kinetic energy initial, and this is the simple formula. Okay, and we can also write like this. This is work done, or this will be work done to overcome air resistance plus kinetic energy. Initial kinetic energy will be equal to, or if you do not understand this, let me rub this. The simple concept will be, what was the initial kinetic energy? What was the initial energy? The initial energy will be equal to how much? This is half m u square, and if we calculate the value, this will be half into 10 to the power minus 2. It will be 10 to the power minus 2, because 10 into 10 to the power minus 3 will produce 10 to the power minus 2 into, what is the value of initial velocity? It will be 1000. So after simplification, we will have only 5 joule. Initial kinetic energy is equal to 5 joule, and let us calculate the final kinetic energy of the bullet that will strike the wall. Kinetic energy final will be equal to half into, this will be 10 to the power minus 2 into, what is the speed? Speed will be 500. Okay, and sorry, I have forgotten to take the square. Okay, so it will be 5000. And this will be equal to this 20 and 0 get cancelled out. This will be equal to 5000 joule. Initial kinetic energy of the bullet will be equal to 5000 joule. And what about the final kinetic energy? The final kinetic energy will be half into, mass is given as 10 to the power minus 2, and this will be 500 into, this is again 500. So this 10 to the power 2 get cancelled with 20. Okay, and we get how much? This will be 25 into 50. Our answer will be 1250 joule. Let us just check the value here. 5 5s are 25, Yes, it will be correct. Okay, and 2 0 get cancel out. 5 5 0 25 250. This is 2500 divided by, yes, we get the correct answer, that is 1250 joule. So our final kinetic energy will be 1250 joule. And what about the work done to overcome? We know that the work done to overcome this frictional force produced by air will be equal to kinetic energy final, or simply you just understand like this: work done will be equal to, very simple, kinetic energy initial minus this is kinetic energy final. I just change the order. Why? Because we know that, or if you do not change the order also, you will get the answer to be negative. And just remember that negative sign will simply give us the idea of resistive nature. We just apply this: work done equal to kinetic energy final minus kinetic energy initial. That's very simple here. And work done required will be, what is the initial kinetic energy, final kinetic energy 1250 minus initial kinetic energy is 5000. So if 1250 is subtracted from 5000, 0 5 1 in hand 3, that is 7. Carry 1, and that is 2 3 3 7, it will be minus 3750 joule. So 3550 joule of energy will be lost due to air friction, or in another word, 3750 joule of energy is to be wasted in order to overcome air resistance. Now 6.3, we can skip this next topic, next subtopic, that is 6.3 work, which we have already covered up. This is very easy. Or let me do only this question number 10. Here a particle moves from a point, let us consider a point to be here, and this is nothing but this will be the position vector. Okay, this r1 vector is given as, r1 vector will be equal to here in coordinate system we will be having like this. This is the position, this is the initial point A. Okay, and it has a position vector. R1 vector is equal to how much? R1 vector is equal to, it is the random. Okay, it may be in the upside or it may be in the downside, we do not know it. Okay, we just randomly take it. Or if you get confusion over here, you just take the position of this point A to be how much from the origin, it will be this much. Let us suppose this is at a distance r1 vector will be equal to how much? It will be minus 2 I cap plus 5 j cap, and this position has r1 from origin. And what about the new position? The new position B, let us suppose this is B, new position, and it has position vector r2. That means here this particle moved from point A to B, and r2 vector will be equal to how much? R2 vector is 4 j cap plus 3 k cap, and this change in the position is caused due to the applied force, externally applied force F, and externally applied force F is given as 4 I cap plus 3 j cap. So our displacement, what will be the displacement? The displacement is very simple. Displacement will be from A to B, and this r vector will be equal to your r2 final vector, final position minus initial position. It will be like this. You just put the value. R2 is how much? This is 4 j cap plus 3 k cap minus, what about the initial? Initial is minus 2 I cap plus 5 j cap. So minus minus it will become plus. We will be having 2 I cap because there is no component of I cap for R2. That is why we will be simply considering only for R1. Okay, so 2 I cap minus this will be minus plus minus minus 5 J cap and the plus 4 J cap, it will produce minus J cap. And what about 3 K cap? This will be only 3 K cap. That means here we get our position vector to be this much. And for finding out the work, then this is very easy. Force dot, this will be our displacement vector R, and it will be equal to force vector is given as how much? This is given as 4 I cap plus 3 J cap dot product with 2 I cap minus J cap plus 3 K cap, and here I cap must be multiplied with I cap, so we will be having 8. And what about your J cap? J cap will be minus 3. And what about K cap? K cap will be 0 because there is no K cap for this force vector. Therefore we have to just take it as 0. So our answer will be equal to 5 joule. Very easy. Answer comes out to be 5 joule. So we will be doing the rest of our work energy question tomorrow. That's all for today. Have a good day.